مرحبا بيكم يا جماعة. احنا دلوقتي هنكون معانا هانتر بيرجمان وهيكلمنا عن الكوميونتي ستارت ابس. اهلا يا جماعة مرة تانية. هيكون معانا هانتر بيرجمان وده حد من نبراسكا لينكولن. هيكلمنا عن الكوميونتي ستارت ابس في نبراسكا وازاي هما بيفندوا الانتربرينورز. So welcome, Hunter. We are happy to have you with us today. Would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. I'm really excited to hang out with you guys today. As you said, I'm Hunter Bergman. I am a senior marketing major, minoring in entrepreneurship with an emphasis in sales at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Currently, I am the Director of Operations and Business Development for Yacht, which is a full-service advertising agency. I also serve as the President of Startups UNL, a student community on campus dedicated to helping provide the resources and connections for young entrepreneurs to be successful.
So we would know that there is a community called UNL, Startup UNL. We would like to know more about this community.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Riyab, just like you guys have Startup Land, right? Startup Land is filled with great people and great connections. And so, that's kind of how Startups UNL is. We are a STEAM-powered organization and community. So we really focus on science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics because we think it's really important to bring all of those disciplines together. So when an engineer needs to help sell their idea or product, they can find somebody to help them do those things and really balance out their strengths. But mainly, we are a student-focused organization. So we do, events, programming, social events, just provide a place for people to, find their ideas and connect with other students.
Oh, wow, that's great. We would like to know how do you help them and how do you fund them or how do you provide the finance and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so in terms of I'll walk you guys through a little bit more about kind of what it means to kind of be an entrepreneur in Nebraska, right? Lincoln, Nebraska is a town of about 250,000 people. And so it's not very big. It's like, compared to Cairo, I'm sure it's very small, right? And so, it's access to funding is a little less available, I would say. I'm not sure what the funding situation looks like, but especially as young entrepreneurs, we are really serving those people who have an idea and are looking to kind of connect it together, right? Trying to figure out, how do I take my idea and like take it to action, right? And so in terms of funding, Riyab, to answer your question, we really focus on building and investing in people, right? We invest in people, not companies, because we feel that when we give students the resources and the education, the connections, then they're able to really build that up and then transfer. Once they hit their junior, senior year, they're able to then transition to the community ecosystem. And so in terms of funding, we've had students get grant opportunities. There's a couple grants in the local area that are really good opportunities to receive funding. There are also opportunities inside our local accelerators. And so we have really good relationships with we have InMotion, G-Beta. G-Beta is a free accelerator program that goes seasonally. And so, a cohort of people will come in and go through the typical accelerator model. They'll do the customer discovery, revenue model and financial projections, those types of things. And then afterwards, they'll have them prepared to, whether they are seeking venture capital, they'll get them the connections for VC to make it happen. But we really focus on making sure that the students have the resources and connections to solve problems, right? I think the worst thing to ever happen to entrepreneurship is to be associated with people like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, because like these guys are really big people and they're only like 0.001% of all entrepreneurs, right? So we really like to frame it as problem solvers, people who are trying to figure out how to make life better or, relieve some stress from somebody, right? And so, making sure that if they don't know the answer to something, they either know somebody that has the answer to something, and or they can, figure out how to navigate that situation.
So that's why your organization exists. Yeah, that's great. Would you please tell me, what does it take to build a thriving entrepreneurial community?
Absolutely, yeah. And so our community is made up of 80 students from all disciplines. We've got accounting, finance, engineering, science, arts, mathematics, all the whole kind of disciplines. And then we have actually in our actual community, we have over 115 people digitally that we can communicate and interact with. But just to build a thriving community, entrepreneurial community, you have to have a culture, right? You have to foster culture.
Yeah, right.
And Startups UNL is more of an identity, right? It's like, hey, I'm part of this higher purpose or this culture, right? We have 6 core values as a community. So our first core value is reciprocity, because that's the underlying building block to like business and transactions. Is to make sure that you're providing value for the other party, right? Whether it be a product, a service, to make sure that even in relationships, I wanted to do a poll to see how many people have had mentors, friends, or have somebody in their community that they would consistently go to, right, for answers. But culture is the number one thing, because when somebody walks into an event or walks into the door, they should automatically feel that sense of community and connection. Because it's important that they want to wear that identity. They want to say, hey, I am a member of Startups UNL, and put it on their social medias and their Instagrams. But our second core value is SEO, and it's not search engine optimization, but it's supporting each other, right? Because all boats rise with the tide. So it's so important that other people, are lifting each other up. The journey of entrepreneurship is very lonely sometimes. Oftentimes, especially young people, because we're taught time and time again that young people need to conform and fall in line and get that nice corporate desk job, right? But there are really smart young people building really cool things,
Sure.
and I think sometimes it's kind of scary to tell the world that, right? And so
Yeah.
providing a safe space for them to just talk about what they're doing and really find people that can resonate with their struggles. Putting together an investor pitch deck and then pitching to investor and then getting rejected is a different kind of feeling, and you kind of feel isolated and lonely. So our whole goal
Right.
is to build that a community that, where people are comfortable with telling them, yo, I just failed yesterday. But our third core value is shared success. And we want to make sure that people are sharing the success of, themselves, right? No matter how big or small it is, it's important to know that people are winning and becoming successful. And Riyadh, that kind of goes into the storytelling, which we'll
Yes.
dive into in a little bit. But telling like, hey, I just raised $10,000 in funds, or just got a grant funding, or even just got my first sale, right? Like those are
Yeah.
huge things that need to be celebrated is in the early stages, because it builds momentum. And people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in a decade. And so just that little bit of time, in that momentum, I call it the snowball effect. When you get a snowball and you slowly push it
Yeah.
up a hill, and then you get to the hill and it's big, and then you can just push it down the hill and it gets momentum
It's
and
bigger
bigger and
and
bigger. Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. And so sharing that with everybody, the energy and morale, and it just feeds the culture, right?
Right.
Um, and then our fourth core value is diversity of thought, right? We really want to focus on getting people who think differently, who are from different parts of the world, who are, interfacing with different problems. Our whole goal is to make sure that, we have people who, if we can't solve a problem, we can get 5 people or, however many people to get in a room and really figure out how can we solve this problem? Who do we need to talk to solve this problem? And really that connecting effect, right?
Right.
Our fifth core value, this is the last one I'll go through, but
Yeah,
it's
I'm with you. Yes,
yeah, it's
I'm excited to hear
our
all this.
last.
I really like the your core values. It's really important. Each point is needed on the entrepreneurial work. So please continue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And our last core value, our fifth one is it's fuel the jet, right? And so every time we get together, we're always talking about FTJ. This is kind of like our taking action, right away. Like when you think of a jet taking off, it has to be quick, it has to be, precise.
Yeah.
And so, we're fueling the jet, right? And so every time we get together, I tell our community that's our fuel for this community. People getting in the room and collaborating, connecting, building, that's the fuel that will help launch our rocket, right? As an
That's
organization, a
exactly true.
community. Yeah. And so it's a ton of fun. We really enjoy it. But it's like, hey, I'm FTJ in this social media post, or hey, I'm FTJ in this business model, whatever it might be. It's just exciting to see people take action, because the core root of entrepreneurship, it means to undertake, right? It means to undertake something, right? So it doesn't mean build a company, build a business, do that. It just means literally take an idea to action, right? Because
That's interesting. Yes.
an engineer doesn't need to build an extremely big business model and have sales departments and marketing departments. This engineer only needs to take action and build something, right? And then he can just ship it out to somebody else, right? It's not, entrepreneurship looks so different, right? There's entrepreneurship, there's design thinking and problem solving. That's, I think all of those are really correlated. So just to say entrepreneurship and you're building a company leaves out a whole grommet of other people.
That's right. I really agree in each point you mentioned, and I really think that everything that you said, like the exchange of culture, it's really important to be there. And now I hear that it's really important to tell the story of entrepreneurs. So please, tell me why it's important to tell the story of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and inspiration, right, is the number one answer, right?
Yeah.
So when you're talking about, and every story is different, right? Riyab, your and I's story is completely different. The entrepreneurs in the session right now, who are building things, and they have different problems. They're solving things differently. They are doing things just like differently, right? And everybody is different. Whether you're building a coffee shop, or you are building a tech company, right? Those journeys look different. Everybody starts from a different area, starts from a different place. And so, when somebody is successful and we're telling the story of how they got to be successful, everybody started somewhere, right? Everybody in this lobby, in this room, right, had one thing where they were like, today is the day that I will either take control of my destiny, or I will build this, whatever it is, right? There was one day where we decided that. And so, telling that story from start to kind of success, really takes you through the ups and downs, and makes you realize that everybody is just a person, right? That has
Yeah.
human issues and emotions, just like everybody else. And it's one of my favorite quotes, is, if it's possible in the world, it's possible for you, right? And so if you see things
Right.
happening, you need to get inspired and take action, right? One event can change your life. One
Yeah.
story, right? One story of somebody going from rags to riches, or figuring out a new way to build something, right? It's so important for the local ecosystem as well, especially in Nebraska, because we have a slightly more conservative approach on life. Cairo, you guys are kind of a hub for kind of, I'm sure, the world and travel,
Yeah.
and diversity, right? Nebraska is not the most diverse
Yes.
place in the world.
I really agree with you that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's
I
so
really agree
important.
with you that it's important to tell the story for the yes, for the new entrepreneurs and new startups to get the experience from the others and learn to the ups and downs that they went through, and avoid it in the future. You know. So please continue.
Absolutely. No, you hit right on the head, right? Is why make the same mistake twice? And, success leaves clues, right?
Yeah.
Successful entrepreneurs will tell you, It's not a specific formula that makes them successful, but there are habits, and habits define your life. Whether it's reading books or waking up on time, or those are things that they don't really talk about in school, right? I hope, I'm not sure, the age demographic in here. I'm young entrepreneurs, probably around the university area. Like, they don't teach you in school that if you if you don't wake up, in the early in the morning, like that's fine. But if you look how successful entrepreneurs operate, it's one of those things that really allows you to, emulate that. They did it this way. I want to do it this way, but let's use parts and pieces of that to ensure that you can become successful. If it worked for them, it could probably
Absolutely.
work for you.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to your community and ask you. I want to ask you that about the help that you provide to the people who are um, designing in your competitions that you provide. Or can you please tell me, in your startups community, the incubators and accelerators accept entrepreneurs at which stage?
And so, like I was saying previously, we do really work with the beginning stage entrepreneurs, right? We
Okay.
serve as kind of a feeder for the rest of the ecosystem. So we are a research university, and so we really are focusing on, in terms of giving young entrepreneurs the tools and resources to be successful. We are really helping them build the foundation, right? Really build and lay that. Like, when you're building a house, you have to have a solid foundation to build upon. And so we're helping them get connected to like resources in the local community, so that, like, I think there's a statistic about, every venture capital deal starts like a year or two in advance, right? So we're getting those students connected with those key ecosystem
Wow.
players that will really help them really, like, become successful, right? But we're
Yeah.
really focused on helping those people who have no experience, have never built anything or touched anything, to help them find the confidence, right, to tell people and to embark on that journey. But B, we have that, we call them experts on call. And so
Uh-huh.
those experts on call, if you need help with legal advice or financial revenue or financial models or whatever it might be, or customer discovery, or technology or automation. There's so many different areas where we have key players that we can just plug students into. And so then eventually they'll get to that whole junior, senior year where they're ready to go out and find capital. And there are several programs in the local ecosystem that we are kind of partnered with, or more or less really promote together, right? There's one called the New Venture Studio program. And so what that is they invest $100,000 into a company, and you pretty much build this company, and part of this other accelerator program. But that is kind of more off campus. In terms of like actual like funding, like, we're actually building right now a student ran venture capital fund. And so the students who are going to go into the VC world will have the opportunity to invest in student ran companies, right? So,
Okay, that's
and
great.
I think it'll be more micro funding, right? So it'll be, I need $500 to like build my logo and my brand. Or I need, $1,000 for, I need this type of technical expertise. So it's one of those things where we're not really building like unicorns or big tech companies right out of the gate, but
Yeah,
we're preparing them and getting them connected.
I
Kind
see.
of again, that VC model of, invest in 100 people. One person is going to build something extremely large and big, but that one person is going to make enough money to fuel everybody else, right? And
Right.
so we're just making sure that they have the resources for when they are ready, that they can grow and expand to that $1 billion company mark, or whatever that might be.
I assume that by what you said, there is a great opportunity to the networking between the people and the entrepreneurs in your community. So it's right. I just want to make sure that, is it difficult to get funded at your community, or to get or expanding your network?
So in terms of the funding, it's not easy, right? Getting funding for anything is not easy, but I think if the people who are going to get funding will be the ones, who have it all, like the foundation laid, like the strong foundation. We actually have this competition every year called New Venture, right? And New Venture allows, this last year we had over 70 people compete, but the top two people receive $25,000 to then begin building their company. And then third place gets $7,500. And then fourth place gets that $2,500, right? And so in terms of funding, if you're ready and you put in the work and you've really done, it's not hard to get funded because you're ready, right? Life is all about timing sometimes, and if you're ready, the time will be right. In terms of networking, we have several apps and platforms that we can integrate students into. We actually are, again, really working on building a global mindset, right? So we have made connections in Egypt with you guys. It's so much fun. I'm grateful to be here. But we've also connected with universities in India as well, and as well as Tajikistan. And we're looking at really kind of expanding our networking capabilities for our students outside of just the United States, because we feel the people who are going to solve the problems of tomorrow will come from all areas of the world. Because in the United States, we don't have to struggle for water, right? Like in some areas we do, but when you bring people who face different world problems, that's where you get the magic, that people who really will build something that will make an impact, that will really change the way that the world works. And so that global mindset is going to be so important to get the entrepreneurs of tomorrow really connected, across, especially
Yeah.
maybe if they want to like enter into new markets, or whatever that looks like. But
Really good for you. We're talking about going globally and knowing people from all over the world, which is really good. I really encourage you doing so. Um, I want to ask you about the areas and the most important areas of a startup that you look at.
mhm. So the number one thing that we are always doing is customer discovery. Um, do not build something that people don't want, right? Because if you the build it and then people will buy it thing does not really work out, right? So
Right.
the number one thing we teach our students is how to conduct an interview. We help them understand how to do not structure it so it's not like a leading interview, um, but we really help them understand how to, like, what are the 5 levels of why? Why do you have this problem? Well, why does that problem exist? Well, why does that problem? Why is it like that? Why has nobody ever solved it? Why is it here in this specific space, right? Really getting to that migraine problem. You should be solving a problem that is a morphine problem, right? That really is going to solve their pain, because when you do that, it's so much easier to scale to larger markets. Because if it's something that will really relieve their pain, like maybe it's not being able to get food at your house, right? Maybe it's like craft beer delivery or whatever it might be. If you're solving a problem that is big enough that people are going to buy it, like you explain it to them and they're like, I'm sold right away, like I'm in. That allows you to really scale to like 300 customers, 400 customers, 500 customers in an exponential model. So really teaching students how to do that. That's the number one thing. The second thing is your revenue model, right? your finances, right? You have to understand what's your customer acquisition cost. How much does it cost to acquire these customers? What are you selling these for, and what are your profit margins? These are. I had a conversation with a really successful entrepreneur, and he said, all good businesses have 2 things. They solve a clear problem, right? And the number 2 thing is that they have a clear and large profit margin. Because without the profit margin, you don't have money to reinvest back in yourself or your company. And being able to accurately do financial projections is so important to understanding, what's the first thing you buy? What is in terms of expenses, what do you need to make it scale, right? Because
Right.
having 5 customers is very different than having 100 customers. And so what are the financial projections and expenses that you will need to be able to grow to those levels is so important, right? And so how we help students with that is we actually have, accountants, CPAs, and people that we can really get them connected to that where they've built those before for other previous companies. So they get experience because finances are not easy. Financial models are not easy. And so I think, but they are extremely important.
Yes, I really agree with you. It's very important to know, and that will lead us to another question that I would like to ask you. Will you explain to us the taxes and legal forms of the companies?
Yeah. So, and actually, we have a huge presence of benefit corporations right now. And so the general one, so like I have a company right now and I do freelance marketing. And hey, Craig. Um, I actually have my own company right now, and I have a limited liability corporation, right? And so what I tell students when they're looking to actually, form a legal entity or structure, we tell them, it's all about risk mitigation, right? So if you're looking at acquiring a lot of risk, we say, hey, it's in your best interest to find a structure, a type of structure that will work best for you, that will shield you from that risk, right?
Right.
However, one of the big things that we see right now are benefit corporations, companies that are being created that have a environmental or more of like a do more good attitude, right? A company that is built to help, bring the world up and invest back into the community, sustainability, those types of companies. That's been the most common one. But again, the limited liability corporation is probably the number one thing that I would say that people are able to build. And to do that, we actually have people who we have a Weebling entrepreneurial clinic on campus that we work really close with. So if a student needs to build and register a company, they actually just go to them. They fill out the paperwork. They pay the fees, and they don't pay any lawyer fees. They don't pay any legal fees. They only pay what it takes to actually register with the Nebraska, the state, and then they also pay the other things, right? That are like the smaller, like form completions and those types of things. But we make it super easy, right? Because we're not lawyers, I think I was going through the people in the session. I think a couple of you are lawyers, but not everybody is going to be a lawyer. And so we want to make sure that the people who have the technical expertise of like software development, stuff like that, we don't want to get them bogged down with what do you need for your legal structure? What do you need for this? We make it so easy that they can just get connected with them, and then they help them out. We let the experts help them out because
That's
we're
awesome.
not legal. We're
Yeah,
not
that's
lawyers.
awesome. I really like how you are doing so and helping to be let the process easier, and that's amazed me. We're getting to an end. It was a pleasure to have you today. I really enjoyed the interview with you, Hunter. I gained many information. It was veiled information. Um, so thank you very much for being with us. I hope you enjoyed this discussion.
Absolutely. I would love for you guys to connect with me on LinkedIn. Also, if you would like to connect with me on Instagram, I'm really active on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn as well, but I know more of I'd rather connect with you guys through Instagram so I can see like your life and how you guys are living versus LinkedIn's kind of that professional front. But again, Riyab, thank you so much. And Startup Land,
I'm sorry,
I,
Hunter. Would you please repeat what did you say now? Because we didn't hear you well.
say that one more time.
Could you please say what did you say right now? Because we didn't hear you well.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn. It looks like Ahmed Nabil has a question. Oh, there's a lot of questions. Oh, I forgot. This question thing is over here. I was about to ask.
Okay, we can answer the question right now.
Yeah, yeah. Please tell us more about the important traits you're looking for in a startup to support and invest in. Um, Foundation, that strong foundation, and that they know their markets. That's the most important. If they know who their audience is and how to reach them, that's extremely important. Abdallah, can you share the main criteria for evaluating startups? Cash, obviously, like financial revenue models, those types of things are really important. I know we have a little bit, like I think we're probably over time, but those of you that I didn't answer your question, go ahead and message me on Instagram or LinkedIn. I would be happy to get like a virtual coffee with you guys and just chat and really talk about how maybe our community over here can help you guys out. We want to get you guys involved with our community and open our doors for you guys because if you need anything, we're your friends in the United States. So just feel free to reach out to me. I'm very passionate about helping people become successful. So whatever you need, we'll try and help you out.
Thank you very much, Hunter, for this networking, and I really am glad for you for doing so. Um, Thank you for being here with us today. Now we're getting to Salah. He's going to introduce us for the next session, and this is the end for this session. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.